Okay, so before we get into linear inequalities, which this entire section or this entire unit is on, we're going to go back and do a little bit of review from grade 9 and look at what are inequalities, just in general. What is an inequality? And so this little video here is just going to be to kind of go over some things and kind of see some review of what we have had in the past and potentially, kind of get an idea of what we are moving on to in the future. So let's look at just inequalities in general. It's just a quick little guide as to how to graph one variable inequalities on a number line, and number one, what are inequalities again. First off, we have these four symbols. Now they might look familiar to you, hopefully they do. The first one there is what we might call like a Pac-Man. You got a Pac-Man there, you got an alligator mouth, depending on what you've called it in the past. This one right here, if it points to the left, is our less than symbol. And we use that as less than because whatever's on the left is less than whatever's on the right. And we always read right to, or left to right. And so 2 is less than 3. That's why we call it our less than symbol. And this would, to be true, we know that whatever's on the left has to be smaller than whatever's on the right. Okay? And that's what we're being told, and that's what is being classified using this symbol. We can add that little line underneath. Okay? And you might recognize that as being the equal to symbol, and so less than or equal to, meaning that it can be less than still. So 5 is less than 6, or it could be equal to. 5 is equal to 5. Okay, it's the same thing. Now it could be either or. Okay, so we could have ones that are equal. We could also have ones that are not equal and are in fact less than. Now the other two are the greater than ones. So we have greater than and greater than or equal to. If we just have the greater than, that means that whatever's on the left has to be greater than whatever's on the right. So 4 is greater than 3, so we know that that has to be true. So we can't put a number here that is 3 or less. Okay, because even if it be 3 is not greater than 3, they're equal, so that would not work. So we have to, this has to be bigger than 3. Okay, guaranteed. So it can be 3.0000001, or it could be something much bigger than that as well. The greater than or equal to, again, similar to less than or equal to, except now that the 6 is greater than 5 works, and 6 is equal to 6 works as well. So it could be either be equal to each other or it has to be greater than. Now we can add in variables to this as well, and so you might have seen this in the past also. So when we put in variables, the variable is always going to be on the left-hand side. We always want to start on the left-hand side, or the variable that we're trying to find is on the left-hand side. When we come to our inequalities, that kind of comes into play a little bit as well. So if we say that x is greater than 4, that means that x has to be greater than 4. Okay, that's how we read it out. That's how we're going to write it out here. The x is going to be in the front. Now this works as well. Okay, so this is still true. Okay, as it means the same thing. It says that x is greater than 4 if we read right to left, right? Or it says that 4 is less than x. It's the same thing. It's just in the opposite way. So it's still true, but we want to write it in this way here. Okay, so write it this way. Okay, so always put your letter in front, or at least the letter that we're trying to find. Right now, we're saying is x. Later on, we're going to be looking at equations. Okay, and we're always going to want to put y to start, or we might want to do x, either or, but y tends to be a little bit easier for when we do some graphing. So again, they mean exactly the same thing, but if solving for x, we want to put x first. Whatever we're solving for, we want to put that first.